We have two remote switches here that look almost identical on the outside. One is a dry contact version and the other is a wet contact version. A lot of people get confused about the difference between these two. So, in this video, we're going to clear that up once and for all. First, let's take a look at the markings on the casing. On the dry contact model, the output terminals are labeled NC, COM, and NO. These are standard relay symbols, which means the output port is completely voltage free. Now, look at the wet contact model. The output is marked with positive, plus, and negative. This indicates a live voltage output. Essentially, whatever voltage you feed into the input is what you'll get at the output. Now, let's pop them open and check out the circuit boards. You'll notice another key difference here. The dry contact version typically uses a 5-pin relay, while the wet contact version usually uses a 4-pin relay. Let's use an access control system as an example. This is the simplest way to wire up an electric door lock. Of course, there's usually a controller in the mix, but let's skip that for now to keep it simple. If you've got the dry contact version of the switch, just connect the NO terminal to one side of your button and the COM to the other. Then, just power up the input of the wireless switch, and the wiring is all set. Once we set it to momentary mode, pressing the remote is now exactly like physically pushing the door button. The solenoid lock gets power, and the door opens. You can also set a delay off mode to mimic a real-world access control system. To do this, press the learning button on the wireless switch 4 times. Then, hit the button on your remote to pair them. Now, when I press the remote, the door opens, stays unlocked for 5 seconds, and then automatically locks back up. Most importantly, the original physical switch remains fully functional. Now, if you're using a wet contact remote switch, the simplest way to mod this is to bypass the original switch and control the solenoid lock directly. Just connect the positive and negative terminals on the input side to your power source. Then, wire the positive and negative output terminals straight to the solenoid lock. As you can see, the wiring is incredibly straightforward. After setting it to momentary mode, holding down the remote button will unlock the door. And as soon as you let go, it locks back up. Just like before, you can also use delay off mode to mimic a real-world access control setup. Now, let's look at this from a voltage perspective. I've connected both remote switches 12V power supply. The one on the left with 3 wires is our dry contact switch. And the one on the right with 2 wires is the wet contact version. I've got my multimeter's black probe connected to the negative terminal. We'll use the red probe to test the voltage in a moment. Both switches are paired to the same remote in self-locking latching mode. Press the remote, and you can hear both relays kick in. First, let's test the wet contact switch. Notice that the output terminal is live. It's outputting 12V, exactly like the power source. Now, let's check the dry contact switch. See that? There's no voltage at all on the output. It's essentially acting just like a physical SPDT, single pole double throw switch. And that is the biggest takeaway between these two. Definitely keep this in mind when choosing the right one for your project.